Welcome back to the King Knight 80% Guide. We're almost done here. We are entering the Warp Wrap Keep. And just as it was entirely justifiable to follow up a campaign I love with a campaign that drives me up a wall, we are following up Lava Well with this atrocious monstrosity of a stage. So the first half of the stage is fairly technical and kind of interesting. I don't particularly mind it. I say that all with a grain of salt. But then we have the second half, which is another auto-scroller. Once again, I will be showing off some of the faster strats that are available to runners in some of these rooms. But for the most part, keep in mind that a lot of the strategies in this game can get you killed, and that's mostly down to the levels being like, oh hey, how would you like a bunch of pits and spikes everywhere? So do remember, you're near the end of the game. You might want to play it just a little bit safe every now and then. I will say, I'm really not going to show off anything else in this auto-scroller. I'm just going to say that if you do this setup of bashing, it's actually really easy to grab that health without getting hit. Beyond that, I am once again obligated to just show you the rest of the level, which will involve me basically waiting around for 2 minutes. Seriously, the only other thing worth watching in the rest of this first playthrough is at the end of the auto-scroller, you can grab the ladder a little bit early, and I'll show off a setup for how to do that later. But you really don't need to watch me just chilling in an auto-scroller, it's all really easy. Okay, if you haven't somehow fallen asleep, then here's the early ladder grab for the end of this auto-scroller. And don't worry, the rats actually can't hit you while you're trying to grab this ladder this early. So one thing to note at the beginning of the stage, you saw me briefly using the Turncoat to stand on spikes. You have a very short amount of time after letting go of Turncoat to be stood on spikes, so make sure that you're jumping immediately. If you're finding that that first Carter flip is really annoying to do, then you can go for a variation of the room that instead looks like this. However, if you feel like you can do something a little bit spicier, then for the end of the room you can instead go for something like this, where you're doing a bash cancel into a Turncoat roll, jumping off the spikes, and then leaving. Now, a slightly faster version of this room involves doing a Carter jump from the center to grab the ladder. It's a little tricky, but shoutouts to Splain for showing me that this was a possible and very useful thing. If you don't like doing the Carter jump in this room, then the alternative way is not that much slower, thankfully. Now, the early ladder grab is not that difficult to set yourself up for, but knowing where you should be stood and when to jump is pretty important. Once you're here, you're doing a charge bash to the left to reach the lantern, and then another charge bash to the right so that you make sure you hit this wall. Listen for King's footsteps landing, and then do a charge bash to the left, which should slam you onto the moving platform. From here, I want you to take note of where the moon is. That's where the ladder is, but you can't grab the ladder yet. It needs to be a little bit closer on screen before you can actually touch it. Once you can see King's feet, you can position yourself and do an upwards bash. You should be able to jump and grab it. But in this footage, I'm not doing that so you can see what the room looks like without having to go into the level and study it yourself. So here's that ladder grab at full speed. Bash onto the lantern, bash to the wall, bash back onto the moving platform, look for the moon, line yourself up. When you see King's feet, jump, up bash, grab the ladder, and then 2 rolls to the right, jump bash off the wall, and then hold left. Please don't die in that auto-scroller. It's one of the saddest ways to lose your runs. Okay, and we're almost done. We just have 1 level left to do. See you next time at the oh-so-exciting finale. Thanks for watching.